This winter, my feet have been very, very cold for some reason. Maybe I just need better shoes, but I thought it would be fun to make some knit socks, specifically in merino wool, because wool is very, very warm and I don't feel like I have enough wool socks. So this is my first go at making socks. As you can see, I do have a knitting machine here that I use very often for my work, either for knitwear development, which is my job, or just also for making fun knitted stuff for myself or for whoever. And I've made lots of stuff, but never socks before. So I was really excited to try socks. This is what one finished sock looks like. I made them a little bit large for me because I wanted them to be more like slippers rather than socks. So they're kind of loose and super comfy. As you can see, there's a good bit of short rowing in the heel and in the toe. And it's tubular knitted. The whole thing is basically tubular knitted with some short rowing for shaping. And then there's a Kitchener stitch here. This is kind of at the top of the toes. You just kind of have a hidden seam here where you finish the tubular. So this is the first sock, and I did not film it because I wanted to get all of the mistakes out of the way on the first sock, and then I thought I would film the second sock. And it's good I did because I royally messed up on the first sock. I made the foot really, really long. Like, it was extremely long. I obviously got messed up with the measurements of the tubular compared to how big the foot should be. Anyway, I had to basically unknit it part way down to about here, and then I had to attach it on the machine and reshape the toe again. But anyway, this one fits me pretty well, so I'm just going to make an exact copy of this sock. I followed Diana Sullivan's YouTube tutorial. It's three videos, it's 3 parts on making this sock. And most of it's the same. I changed a few things, like I didn't do the rib. She did rib for the ankle part. I just did a regular tubular because I just wanted the whole sock to be the same, and I kind of wanted to just fold it down, and I thought that would be fine. I didn't really want to go through the trouble of making a rib top and then a tubular jersey bottom, so I just did the whole thing in tubular jersey. Besides that, everything else I did the same as her. I followed her instructions. And it's a really good tutorial. I'll link it below if you want to try to make socks as well. Okay, so the first thing I did was I did make a tension swatch because you have to know your gauge, and you also have to test the yarn that you want to use. So I made this little tubular swatch to just see how many stitches per square inch it was going to end up being, and I followed that as far as measurements for the sock, for how many rows and how many needles to use. The first thing you're going to do is, let's see, start on the side. You use your waste yarn to start. At least for my sock, I use waste yarn, and I'm using white as my waste yarn. Ooh, right there you can kind of see it. And let's see. So my knitting machine is it's like a 7 gauge. I don't know what the real, I've always just heard it called it's basically a 7 gauge. So it's like a medium mid-gauge machine. It's not super chunky. You can kind of see here. It's not super chunky. It's not super fine. It's a very like medium mid-gauge. And then you go through, you knit all your needles just to, oh, I have this in, okay. I have my tension where I want my tension. So you knit it all through, and then you put the comb on. This is the comb. I also normally knit in the middle of my machine. I don't know if you can see, I'm kind of on the side. The center of my machine is actually this pole, but I didn't want the pole to be like in the center of my face, so I thought I would film it, hold on. I thought I would film it from kind of the side of the machine because the sock doesn't use that many needles. It uses about this many needles. And that way you can see my lovely face, and the yarn is kind of to the side rather than right in the middle of my face. So yeah, so we'll see. It's a little odd because I don't usually use the side of the machine. Okay, and then we're going to, after that, I put the comb in. The comb is hanging. And then I'm going to do left part on the top bed, and I'm going to do the end to the PR on the bottom bed. You machine knitters at home know what I'm talking about, I think. I know all these things have letters, but you know what? I forget what all these letters mean. And, you just hit buttons. You just know what all the buttons do. So as I go this way, it's going to knit just the bottom bed. And as I go that way, it's just going to knit the top edge. Okay. And that's basically, I might do a few rows of that. Let's do a few rows of that just because it helps to, I have enough waste yarn. Then you just have a little bit more slack on the waste yarn. This is a little bit tight, this tension, but I don't want to mess up my tension because this is the tension that I want for the sock. So for my waist yarn, the tension's like a little iffy, but that's fine with me. Let's see, which side do we want to start? 1, 2, so we want to start this side with the blue yarn. Okay, and then from here, I'm going to, let's see, I seriously didn't bring scissors. I need to go get scissors. Hold on. Okay, got my scissors. So I am just going to, am I gonna cut this? I don't want to cut this. I'm just gonna pull this thread through. This is like, I kind of actually reuse my waste yarn. So I'm done with this yarn, so I'm just gonna pull it all the way through. Okay. And then I'm going to put my blue yarn in for knitting. I'm just hoping this sock comes out the same as the other sock. I'm hoping I remember how to do everything properly. Okay, and right away we're just knitting tubular. So we're gonna do, we're gonna do 20 rows of fold circles, 20, so that's 40 passes back and forth. And then that's gonna be, that is just going to be this top tubular part of the ankle. So that's what we're gonna do first, is that top, top trim part. Let's just go 1 yarn. So that's 1. Okay, so that's 20 rows, and that's going to end up being folded into 10 rows here, because you have 10 rows on the inside and 10 rows on the outside of the trim. So from here, what we're going to do is flip up the inside. We're actually just going to finish the edge right away, right in the beginning. So let's see. First thing you want to do is drop the lower bed a little bit. Grab your, unhook the comb. Let's take the comb out. Okay, comb is out. There we go. Comb is out. We're gonna kind of flip the this little tube that we have so far. We're gonna flip the white part kind of up into the center, and we're gonna connect the end of the blue to itself, to the ones on the needles, basically. So bring up this white part all in the center. Some of these parts are a little, this part's like a little bit tedious. How did I even do this? I don't even remember how I did this. This is gonna take some time. This part's not like super, interesting. This is a lot of just top row is on. Now we do the bottom row now. Okay, so I attached all the tubular. Now I'm just going to leave the waist yarn on for now, and I'm just going to start doing my tubular. And the first part I'm going to be knitting is the ankle of the sock. And that is going to be, how many rows? So 60 more rows, full rows, so tubular rows. Getting through this first row is a little tricky because you have you have double loops. So, and also make sure you have weight pulling down on the yarn from below under the machine, because that's also what's going to help you keep good tension and have good knitting. So that's one row. Okay, 60 rows. Okay, so that was just the ankle. We just finished the ankle of the sock. Now we're gonna start doing the short rowing here in the heel part. First things we're gonna do is drop the lower bed, just to get it a little bit out of the way. Change the feeder to the sort of single bed feeder. This one just works better when you're doing short rowing. The rows just knit easier, because short rowing you always have problems with tension and bagging and keeping weight. It's difficult to keep weight when you're short rowing. It's just better if you use this feeder, which is like the jersey feeder, and not the ribber feeder. So you have to make sure that this top carriage is in H position, because that will mean that when the needles are up, they won't be in work, which is what you need. Put the yarn in the feeder, and we're going to just lift the needle on the side that it starts on. Get rid of the part button, and put from N to H up here. So you go across, and that needle won't knit, that'll stay up. And then you keep alternating this. And this is how we get the shape of the heel. So it's getting a little baggy, so I need to put the weight. I just have these little, this is a funny little folding weight, but it just has little claws on it. And you just kind of shove those in the knit, and it's pretty hefty. This thing is a weight. So I'm gonna do 15. Diana does down to 14 needles in the middle. I'm just doing to 15 because for me the knitting comes out a little more even that way, because I actually have an odd number of stitches or needles in the top bed. And then when you start, now we're gonna decrease back down. And you put the yarn under the first needle over the top of the rest. And then same thing, you short row back out. So you put it under the needle and you put the needle down halfway so it knits. Needle down halfway. And it knits. Needle down halfway. Put it back in action. Let me resituate my weight again. Okay, so all my needles are back in work again. I am going to change, moving the weight back up again, just to put weight on that the short row heel. So now we have a full heel, and I'm going to change the carriage back to the ribber carriage, because we next have to do the tubular for the foot of the sock. Okay. So that's back on. Put the yarn back in. Before we start knitting the tubular of the foot, so this is the next part that we're gonna do. So now we've shaped the heel. The heel is there. Now we're knitting this the whole tubular part of the foot. But before we do that, we want to cross the stitches, the heel of the stitches. We want to kind of cross them from just on the edges from the top bed to the bottom bed and the bottom bed to the top bed. So you grab the heel of the top bed stitch here, and that one's going to go on the bottom bed end needle, and the heel of the other one is going on the top bed, of the bottom bed to the top bed. And you do that on both sides because this prevents the hole. There will normally be a hole if you don't cross these stitches. There will be a little hole where your short rowing like kind of starts and stops. So crossing those stitches, tightening up that little hole area helps so that your sock doesn't have holes, basically right here at the edge of the short rowing where you have short rowing all along here, and this is the front of the sock where you have no short rowing. So this little spot right there, it prevents there from being a hole right there on both sides. So crossing those stitches is really important. Don't forget. Okay, so putting that bed back up in work. Okay, and now we're going to do our tubular rows for the foot of the sock, which we're doing, let's see, 456 tubular rows we're going to do. So part button is in, and the part button on the bottom bed is also up. So we're basically doing these clockwise circles. Even though it's a flat bed, we're doing the bottom bed and the top bed. Bottom bed, top bed. And that's what makes the tubular knitting into a circle, continuous circle. So 1, 56 tubular rows. Okay. And then we do the same thing that we did for the heel, basically, is we do the short rowing again. So bring your bottom bed back down a little bit to create space. Okay. There. Change out the river feeder for just the top bed feeder. Okay. Put your yarn in. And we're going to do the same thing again where needle goes up. We're already in each position, and we just make sure that we get rid of this part button. We don't want that on each position, and good. And same as before, we're just going to go down until we have 15 stitches in the center. One and one. Okay. I have to move my weight back up. My weight's still on the heel. Okay. Alright, get the weight on the toe. Good. 15. Okay, same as before. Now we go back down under that first needle, halfway into action, and go across to put it back into work. And this part is exactly the same as the heel. This short rowing shaping, it's exactly the same. Which I couldn't really imagine when I first watched Diana's tutorial, that I was like, how is the toe the same shape as the heel? Didn't really make sense to me, but it does work. It does work. And it makes it a lot simpler. I mean, it's better if things are the same. I mean, it just makes the whole thing easier. Okay, that is the toe. So the shaping of the toe is done. The heel of the stitches, we want to kind of cross them from, adjust on the edges from the top bed to the bottom bed and the bottom bed to the top bed. So you grab the heel of the top bed stitch here, and that one's going to go on the bottom bed end needle, and the heel of the other one is going on the top bed, of the bottom bed to the top bed. And you do that on both sides because this prevents the hole. There will normally be a hole if you don't cross these stitches. There will be a little hole where your your short rowing like kind of starts and stops. And then we're just going to decrease 2 stitches on the top 2 corners of the bed and on the bottom 2 corners of the bottom bed. So I'm just using a double transfer tool, taking these 2 and transferring them in 2. And the needles that you're not using anymore, you put them out of work. Just make sure that they're down so they don't get triggered when you're knitting. Okay, so now we have 4 less needles on the bottom bed and 4 less needles on the top bed. This just kind of helps with general shaping. It just looks better to do that. So we have to take off the top bed feeder, change it back for the ribber feeder. Okay. Put the yarn in the feeder. Put the bottom bed back up. Okay. Make sure your part button and your part button on the top and the bottom bed are in action. And you're just going to knit 1 tubular row, which is just 2 passes. 1 for the bottom row, 1 for the top row. I'm going to first get out of each. These needles, these end needles, because we transferred them in, they have a lot of yarn on them, so I'm just going to pop them up so they knit a little bit easier across. Phew! Yeah, okay. So that was a little easier. Same thing, put those up. It just helps them knit a little bit easier. Same thing on this way, so now we're knitting just the top bed. Okay. And that's 1 tubular row. And now we're just going to grab some excess yarn and cut this. All of this kind of excess yarn will be used to do the Kitchener stitch for the invisible finish. So I'm going to put that under here and under the bed here. Okay, and now I have my waste yarn again, and we're just going to knit a bunch of rows, 8 to 10 rows of the waste yarn, however many you think you need so that it doesn't unravel. So we've got our tubular, and you're just knitting the same tubular but with the waste yarn. Okay, that should be good. And take the weights off. I just have this one weight on it right now. And I'm just going to cut this thread. Stick it in between the beds, and then we just go across and all the needles will come off if you get rid of the part button. And there it is. So this sock should be exactly the same. So I still have the waste yarn here in the top of the sock, which is where we started. So I have to take that out, and I have to finish. This is the seam. You can kind of see this is the toe here. And this is the seam kind of on the top of the toe, so we'll make an invisible seam right there. And yeah, and that's basically the sock. So we'll do the finishing to show the details. So here is the tubular of the sock. I'm just going to take out all of this white thread so that it's a clear opening. I'm just going to do it this way. You can also kind of cut it all, but for me this is a little bit cleaner. Phew, and there. That is our sock opening, and that's the finished tubular around the top of the sock. Okay, so for the seam at the toe of the sock, we're going to first turn the sock inside out. Well, actually, first we're going to get the thread here to the inside. So I'm just gonna kind of put the blue thread on the inside. Turn the whole sock inside out, like so. Okay, and we're just going to start by sewing together these seams here. So where we have a loop, you're going to find a loop here. Grab that blue loop, the first one on the edge, and go in there. And then go back in the same hole we went in before. Go in the next one. And then back in the same hole we went in at the top. Yo, these are hard to find. You can see how it starts filling in, and you have a nice stitch right there. Okay, so I stitched the whole seam where the toe is. You can see here. I finished it, it's all finished. And I just put the thread, I just kind of finished the thread up through the side here. And the same thing with the tubular thread. I kind of just finish it kind of down the side here. And that's the inside, and then you turn it inside here. Oh, here's the right side. So here's where the seam is. Kind of looks like a funny face. You just take this all out. We're going to be left with, there it goes. Zoop. There, you can see the finished seam is pretty invisible. So you can't even really see where, you can kind of see a little bit where it is, but it's pretty invisible. And that is the finished sock.